What is up, sexy beast? Bald Apple Martini here, and today we are going to be taking a look at every single Call of Duty Zombies perk. Now, this is strictly perks only, so we're not going to be taking a look at like the candies or whatever else those other games have. We're only looking at Treyarch games, and that's everything from World at War to Black Ops 3. Now, I'm not going to spend 20 minutes talking about an intro, so I'm just going to go ahead and jump right into this. Alright, so the first perk we're going to be taking a look at is going to be the most important perk in all of Call of Duty Zombies history, and that is going to be Juggernog. Hell, they even made this into a damn fridge. That's how iconic Jug is, and I still have that fridge and I still use it all the time. It's pretty badass. But basically what Jug is going to do is increase your health so that we can take a couple more hits from the zombies. Prior to Jug, if you're playing in World at War, Black Ops 1, or Black Ops 2, those zombies are going to down you in 2 hits, and that can sometimes be a problem because if you're out a window, sometimes those zombies like to double swipe you and basically insta-down you, and that's a problem. But if you are playing in Black Ops 3, it will take you 3 hits instead. But once you actually get that Juggernog in your life, it's going to take 5 hits instead from a regular zombie. Now, all the other like boss zombies and stuff kind of do different damage, so basically it's just going to allow you to take more hits from that guy. Like the Panzer Soldat, prior to Jug, is basically going to 1-hit down you if he melee attacks you, but after Jug, you're going to be able to take 2 hits instead. So basically all Jug is really going to do is make you take more of a beating before the zombies actually, pin you to the ground and finish you off. And Jug was one of the first 4 perks introduced, so it's going to be in a lot of fucking maps. It's going to be on the German side of Verrucht. It's going to randomly spawn in one of the huts in Shino Numa. It will be next to the Bouncing Betties and Der Reese, and kind of randomly swaps places in the Giant with all the other perks. If you're playing in Kino der Toten, it's going to be right next to the Bowie Knife in the Theater Room. If you're playing in 5, it's going to be right outside the Pack Punch Room. If you're playing in Ascension, it's going to be underneath Power, right next to that PM63 and the original. If you're playing in Call of the Dead, it's going to be in the other side of the ship, opposite of Power, down below. If you are playing in Shangri-La, it swaps places with Speed Cola, so it can either spawn left or right side of spawn. Same thing with Moon, it's going to be in No Man's Land and can also swap places with Speed Cola. If you're playing in Nuketown Zombies, it can randomly spawn in one of the numerous meteor locations. If you're playing in Town and Transit, it spawns in the same spot, right here in this building. If you're playing on Farm, it spawns in at the top floor of this house. If you're playing on Die Rise, it can spawn in one of the numerous fucking elevators. I hate those goddamn elevators. If you're playing in Mob of the Dead, it spawns in at the docks right next to the gondola, kinda. Well, it's really not next to it. It's in seeing distance. If you're playing in Buried, it's going to be right next to Leroy's jail cell, but you also will need Leroy to actually clear the debris right in front of it. If you're playing in Origins, it's going to be right next to Generator 4. If you are playing in Shadows of Evil, it can randomly spawn in one of the 3 districts and also swaps places with Speed Cola and Double Tap. And Horizon Drac, it's going to be past the Pyramid Room and basically right outside of spawn, but you kinda can't get there from spawn. You have to go around the entire goddamn map and turn on power. It's also going to be in Zetsubo no Shima. It could be in the bunker if you're playing solo, or if you're playing with multiple people, it swaps places with the other perks. In Go Rod Krovi, it's going to be in the main building right next to spawn as you go to the rest of the map. In Revelations, it also will spawn in Nachter und Toten. And lastly, you can also get it from Wonder Jizz in certain maps like Origins, Horizon Drac, Go Rod Krovi, and Revelation. So it's going to be in a couple maps, I would say like a solid 3 or 4, but that's because you need it. No matter what you're doing, you're going to need Jug, or else you're going to have a bad time. It's basically going to allow you to survive a lot longer and basically make sure those double swiping zombies don't fuck your day up, so that's why it's the most important perk in Call of Duty Zombies history. And also, I would kind of really love to taste one in real life. It seems like it would taste delicious. Next up is going to be Quick Revive, and this is also one of the 4 core perks that were introduced in Verrucht, and also the only 4 perks in World at War Zombies. Now, Quick Revive is going to do 3 things depending on what game you're playing. If you have Quick Revive and you are playing on any map with friends, it's basically going to allow you to revive your friends at twice the speed. It basically halves the revive time. And if you are playing with friends, it's going to cost you 1,500 points, and that does not matter which game you're playing on. As long as you're playing with friends, that's how much it's going to cost. But if you are playing on solo in Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, and or Black Ops 3, it's going to cost 500 points, and it does a little bit different of an effect. If you actually do go down while you're playing solo and you have this perk, you're going to go down, you're going to pull out the starting pistol or like the ray gun or any other suitable gun that you actually do have that'll fit that bill. You can shoot around with it for a little bit, and then Quick Revive will revive you. You're not going to have any of your perks, and you're also not going to have Quick Revive, but you are back from the dead. And unfortunately, this effect does not last forever. You only have 3 attempts in solo, and once you waste those 3 Quick Revives, you have no mas. And also, its third effect that not a lot of people know about. If you do have Quick Revive in World at War and you are playing solo and you buy it, It can do nothing. That's its third effect. It can do literally fucking nothing besides look cool on your screen and add like some more colors to your perks. If you have this thing in World at War and you're playing solo, it's still going to cost you 1,500, but it's not going to do anything. If you die, you die. It's not going to revive you or anything. So Quick Revive in World at War has a special talent, and that talent is doing absolutely nothing. And similar to the other 4 core perks, it's basically going to be in almost every single map, so it's in a lot. It can spawn on the American side in Verrucht. It can also spawn in one of the random huts in Shino Numa. It can spawn near Teleporter C in Derice, and that's back near the STG. It can also spawn in the starting room in Kino, 5, Ascension, Call of the Dead, Shangri-La, and Transit. And it can also spawn kind of in the starting room on Moon. It's going to spawn in as one of the random meteors, always usually the first one in Nuketown Zombies. It also spawns in on the top floor of the bar in town. It's also going to be spawning in front of the barn on Farm. And also in Rise, it's going to be in one of the elevators in the main building. Fuck you, elevators. In Buried, once you go down that long-ass fall from spawn, it's going to be right there. And basically in everything from Origins to the end of Black Ops 3, it's going to be spawning in the starting room, except for on Zetsuba Noshima. It can either spawn in near the KRM or the L-Car or inside of the bunker. Now, I really don't like this perk. I never used it, and I haven't since Black Ops 2. Like, the beginning of Black Ops 2, I found that I don't need it. Real men don't use Quick Revive, and in my somehow weird, stupid-ass mind, buying Quick Revive makes you a worse player, and that's just completely my opinion and the main reason I never get it. And also, I would rather have like Widow's Wine or really any other perk besides Quick Revive, because as long as you don't go down, you're really not gonna need it. So that's why I really never buy Quick Revive. I would just much rather have a different perk there instead. The next perk we'll be talking about is also going to be in the main 4, and that's going to be Speed Cola. Now, Speed Cola is going to cost you 3,000 points, and it's going to do 2 things. It's going to make you reload twice as fast, and it's also going to allow you to build barriers 60% faster. Not a lot of people know about that effect, but sadly, that effect is not in Black Ops 2, it is only in World at War, Black Ops 1, and Black Ops 3. And similar to the other main 4, this one's going to have a shit ton of spawns as well, so get ready. It's going to spawn in on the American side in Verrucht. It's going to be in the random huts in Shinonuma, right next to the FG42 in Derice, and also, you know, swapping out the other perks in the Giant. It's going to be in the Stakeout and MP40 room in Kino der Toten. It's going to be right outside of Spawn in 5. It's going to be in the far Lunar Lander location right next to Pack Punch and Ascension. Going to be at the bottom of that goddamn annoying ice slide glitch in Call of the Dead. It can also swap places with Jug and Shangri-La and also in Moon and No Man's Land. It's going to spawn in one of the random fucking locations in Nuketown Zombies. It's going to be inside of the diner on Transit, inside of the bank on Town, bottom floor of the house in Farm, one of the goddamn random ass fucking fuck you elevators in Rise. It's going to be in the warden's office in Mob of the Dead. It's also going to be on the 2nd floor of the courthouse in Buried. Also in Origins, it's going to be next to a Generator Trace. You guys didn't know I was bilingual, did ya? In Shadows of Evil, similar to Jug, it's going to be in one of the 3 districts, swapping out with Jug and Double Tap. In Horizon Jack, it's going to be in the computer room along with that giant ass dragon. In Zetsuba Noshima, it can basically spawn in any of the random perk drop locations. In Gorod Krovi, it's going to be in the supply depot. And lastly, in Revelations, it's going to be in Verrucht, right next to the staircase. And you can also get it from Wonder Jizz on basically any map Wonder Jizz is available. Now to me, Speed Cola is a must because I'm a lazy piece of shit. I don't like reloading slow. I'm an old school zombie player back when there was only 4 perks, so I always grabbed Speed Cola. So I just naturally got accustomed to reloading a lot faster. And I just can't play without Speed Cola anymore. I have been spoiled by reloading fast with Speed Cola, and any point I don't grab it, I'm just like, Jesus Christ, this is taking forever, especially with LMGs. So in my mind, Speed Cola is definitely a must. Occasionally I can go without it, but 9 times out of 10, I'm grabbing it. And also there's been the occasions where I haven't reloaded fast enough and a zombie ended up pinning me against the corner and trying to kiss me. So in that instance, if you would have had Speed Cola, you probably would have got out of it and probably would have not been tongue fucked by that zombie. So that is just one of the many reasons why I always tend to grab Speed Cola. Alright, the last of the main 4 perks, and depending on what game you are playing, and depending on how you see it, definitely a must-have. It's going to be Double Tap. You know, after Double Tap, all these perks are going to go a lot faster because they're not in like every single goddamn map, but we are going to be covering regular Double Tap and Double Tap 2.0. So basically what both these things are going to do is increase your fire rate by 33%, both Double Tap and Double Tap 2.0. For some reason, a lot of people seem to have the misconception that Double Tap 2.0 doesn't increase your fire rate. I don't know how you can't see that, But yes, both double taps increase your fire rate by the same amount. It is completely the same. Watch the footage that you're seeing now on screen. A lot of people seem to have the misconception that it doesn't, but they do. They both increase your fire rate by the same amount. But Double Tap 2.0 also has an extra effect. It's also going to allow you to shoot 2 bullets per one, and you're not going to be wasting any extra ammo. So basically, you're going to be doubling your damage, and this is only for lead-based weapons. So weapons like the ray gun, the thunder gun, stuff like that, it's not going to work. So Double Tap 2.0 can be very, very helpful with regular weapons because it's increasing your fire rate, and it's also basically doubling your damage, so you're going to be able to take that weapon to a higher and higher round. And also, Double Tap is going to make weapons such as pump-action shotguns and bolt-action rifles, and anything similar to that, operate a lot faster so that we can get more shots actually out. And for everything that Double Tap does, it's actually a pretty cheap perk, only costing you 2,000 points. And honestly, Double Tap 2.0 should cost a lot more because it's actually a really good perk. And because it's a really good perk, it was also in a shit ton of maps as well. It's going to be on the German side next to the MP40 and Verrucht in one of the random huts in Shinonuma, on the lower side of the bridge right before you hop off in Der Riese, and also in one of the random locations in the Giant. It's going to be in the alley in Kino der Toten. It's going to be next to the elevator in the Pentagon Room in 5. Unfortunately, it is not available in Ascension unless you're playing on the Black Ops 3 version and you get it through Wonder Jizz. If you're playing in Call of the Dead, it's kind of going to be in the far end of the ship next to the Claymore. If you are playing in Shangri-La, it can switch places with Stamina Up, PhD Flopper, and Deadshot Daiquiri. If you're playing in Moon, it's going to be in the lower end of the labs. If you're playing in Nuketown, it can spawn in one of the random fucking locations. If you're playing in Farm and Transit, it's going to be on top of the barn. If you happen to be playing on Town, it's going to be right next to the mystery box in the alley. Of course, Die Rise, one of those fucking goddamn elevators. If you're playing in Mob of the Dead, it's going to be inside of the tunnels. It's also in Buried, and it's going to be inside the mansion. As soon as you get inside, turn to your right. If you're playing in Origins, you can actually get it by completing one of those challenges, and you basically get it for free. If you're playing Shadows of Evil, like I said, swaps places with Speed Cola and Jug. It can be in any of the 3 districts. If you're playing in Der Eisendrache, it's going to be right over here outside of Spawn. If you're playing in Zedzeba, it can basically go in any of the random locations. In Gorod Krobi, it's going to be in the tank station. In Revelations, it's going to be in Origins. And you can also get it through Wonder Jizz on basically every single map Wonder Jizz is available on. Now for me, depending on what exactly you're doing, you're going to need double tap or you're not. If you're going to high rounds, I don't really see a purpose to double tap because eventually, weapons are just going to stop working, and the only things that are going to work is the wonder weapons and double pack punch abilities, so double tap kind of becomes useless. But if you're trying to do like an Easter egg, I definitely recommend it. The fast fire rate can allow you to kill zombies faster, and the double tap 2.0, doubling the damage, is always going to be helpful. So double tap to me is a situational weapon. Depending on what you want to do is definitely going to depend on if you should grab it or not. Alright, next up we're getting into the Black Ops 1 series of perks, and the first one introduced is going to be PhD Flopper, one of my favorite perks, costing you 2,000 points, which should definitely be a lot more because this perk is very, very good. One of the effects is going to be immunity to explosive and fall damage, and those are my favorite effects. I love being able to shoot Mustang and Sally or the ray gun right at my feet and not taking any damage whatsoever. And I also love being able to jump off any ledge in the map and not taking any damage, because there have been some times where you're like on a ledge or something like that and a zombie hits you and then you jump and then you fall, get the fall damage, and you die. I hate doing that, so that is one of the reasons I love PhD Flopper. And also, you can dive to prone from any height, and an explosion will go around you, killing zombies up until, I believe, round 20. And in Black Ops 1, this was one of the main perks you definitely wanted if you were going to high rounds. It's a very, very useful perk. If you're playing on Ascension, where it was first introduced, it's going to be in the Lunar Lander Station next to the MP5 in that infamous training location. In Call of the Dead, it's also kind of going to be next to the MP5. It's going to be at the entrance of the lighthouse. If you're playing in Shangri-La, it can be in any of the underground locations. It swaps place with Double Tap, Stamina Up, and Deadshot. If you're playing in Moon, it's going to be in the back of the Biodome. It also spawns in Cell Block in the library. It is in Mob of the Dead and Die Rise, but unfortunately you cannot get it. You can only see it. Maybe in Blood of the Dead we'll actually be able to get it. You can also get that bullshit persistent perk, but we're not going to be including that in these videos. And lastly, you can also get it in Origins through Wonder Jizz. Now sadly, PhD Flopper is only in a couple maps, but to me, it is amazing and should definitely return. It's so useful, but it's not like it's incredibly overpowered or anything. Like I said, the main reason I used it was for the no explosive damage, so I could fire the ray gun at my feet, and also so I could jump off any height and not take some damage. It's not like those things are incredibly overpowered or anything. I would say they're pretty underpowered if anything, because once you go to high rounds, are you really going to be using explosive weapons at your feet? And there's not really too many maps with ledges that you can jump off of that take damage. So in my opinion, I don't really see why they shied away from PhD Flopper. Yeah, they kind of got rid of the dolphin diving to prone thing, but I mean, I never used that. I would have been completely fine without it. I would have been totally fine with just the immunity to fall and explosive damage, but for some reason they decided to never bring it back. Maybe we'll see it in Black Ops 4. Fingers crossed that those leaks were real. Next up, also introduced in Black Ops 1 and also introduced in Ascension, it's going to be Stamina Up. Kind of an underrated perk. I really do enjoy Stamina Up. It is quite swell if you ask me. But basically what Stamina Up is going to do is increase your movement speed by 7%, allowing you to move a little bit faster, and also increase your sprint duration by 100%, basically allowing you to run twice as long. And also similar to PhD Flopper, it is only going to cost you 2,000 points. It's going to be located near the AK-74U in Ascension. It's also going to be behind the lighthouse in the stakeout room in Call of the Dead. In Shangri-La, it can swap places with Double Tap, PhD, and Deadshot Daiquiri. It's going to be in Tunnel 11 in Moon. In Transit, it's going to be on the bottom floor of the bar. If you're playing in Town, kind of weird saying Transit in Town, but Town is it's just weird. If you're playing on Town, the little map itself, it's going to be outside the bar. If you're playing on Buried, it's going to be at the end of the Hedge Maze near Pack-a-Punch. If you're playing on Origins, it's going to be next to Generator 5. If you're playing in Shadows of Evil, it's going to be located next to the Rift. If you're playing in the Giant, it has a possibility of spawning in after you do an Easter egg underneath this pile of snow. If you're playing in Eisendrach, it's going to be in the Power Room in Zetsubo It can spawn in one of the random locations. It's going to be in the Infirmary in Gorod Krovi, and it's also going to be in Shangri-La in Revelations, and it's also going to be in Wonder Jizz, and basically almost every single map Wonder Jizz is available. Now, like I said earlier, Stamina Up is a very, very underrated perk. Like, you really just truly don't understand how much it helps being able to sprint a lot longer and a lot faster. Especially on some of the bigger maps, I definitely think Stamina Up is a must. Like, if you're playing on Origins, this is definitely a must. It helps get through that goddamn mud so easy. But I feel like if you're playing on a smaller map, you could probably get away without having this. But I would say if you're playing on a medium to big size map, I would definitely probably make this one of your core perks, if not a solid 5th place spot, because it's a very, very useful perk, and I would definitely get it whenever I get the chance. Next up, also one of the Black Ops 1 perks introduced, we're going to be taking a look at Deadshot Daiquiri. Kind of a useless perk, not kind of, it is a useless perk, especially for me, because I play on PC, and that thing's basically fucking useless on PC. The only real good thing Deadshot Daiquiri does is increase your hip fire by 35% and also reduces recoil on all weapons and also removes idle sway on sniper rifles, and if you're playing on console, it adjusts the auto aim to go straight for that zombie's head. If you're playing on PC, that's basically non-existent. If you're playing on console, the perk is going to cost you 1,500 points, but if you're playing on PC, it's only going to cost you 1,000 because you don't really get the full perk. It doesn't really, do everything. And to me, this perk is one of the most useless perks. A lot of people seem to think that this thing gives you a headshot damage. It does not. The perma-perk version does, but unfortunately, this one does not. And this perk first made its appearance in Call of the Dead next to the zipline on top of the lighthouse. And Shangri-La can spawn in one of the numerous locations underground. If you're playing on Moon, it's going to be on the top floor of the laboratories. If you're playing in Mob of the Dead, it's going to be in that room right before you actually do get to the roof. If you're playing in Subblock, it's in the cafeteria. And if you're playing on Origins, the only actual way you can get this is through Wonder Jizz, and that tends to be a common theme throughout a lot of these goddamn maps. If you're playing in the Giant, it can also swap places with Stamina Up underneath that pile of snow. And basically, if you're playing on almost every single Black Ops 3 map, you're gonna get this thing through Wonder Jizz. And I know it's pronounced Wonder Fizz, but that's not as funny, so I'm gonna keep saying Wonder Jizz. And to me, I hate this fucking perk so goddamn much, because I play on PC, so it really doesn't do that much for me, and whenever I hit Wonder Jizz, this thing is the #1 perk that pops up 9 times out of 10. So if you're doing a challenge, or you're just trying to get the perks you want really fast, this perk says, nah, fuck you, you're getting me for like 5 tries before you actually get Electric Cherry, or the perk you really, really want. So I hate this fucking perk. I love Black Ops 1 and almost everything it introduced, but fuck you, Deadshot. I don't care for you. Alright, the last perk that was introduced in Black Ops 1 is going to be Mule Kick, and at the time this thing was introduced in Moon, it was a game changer, because no longer were you doing the 3-gun glitch on Derice with that stupid Betty. No longer could you only have 2 pack-a-punched weapons and 1 weapon that you used with the glitch. You could actually get 3 fully upgraded weapons, and really in Black Ops 1 it really wasn't much of a game changer for high rounds, but just in general, enjoying the game and having some fun, it was a huge game changer. And basically all this thing does is allow you to buy a 3rd weapon slot, and if you actually do go down while you have this perk, you're going to lose whatever gun was in that 3rd weapon slot. And this perk is going to be pretty expensive. It's going to be costing you 4,000 points. Now in Black Ops 1, I don't really think it's worth it, nor is it really worth it in Black Ops 2, but in Black Ops 3, I can definitely see a 4,000 price tag, because in Black Ops 3, a lot of weapons do a lot of stuff. But like I said, this thing was first introduced in Moon, but it was also thrown back into a lot of other maps. It's going to be in Nackderon right next to the M1A1 Carbine. It's going to be next to the Thompson in Verrucht. It's going to be next to the Guer 43 in Shinanuma, and it's also going to be next to the Thompson in Derice. If you're playing in Kino der Toten, it's going to be in the PM63 room. If you're playing in 5, it's going to be in the War Room. If you're playing in Ascension, it's going to be next to the stairs right before you get to Speed Cola. If you're playing on Call of the Dead, it's going to be in the far end of the ship. If you're in Shangri-La, it's going to be in the waterfall. If you're in Moon, its original starting location, it's going to be next to the AK-74U on the Moon. Fuck you, Die Rise, and your goddamn elevators. And if you are playing in Mob of the Dead, unfortunately, you can see it, but it is unavailable to actually get. If you're playing in Cell Block, though, it's going to be near the M14. And Buried, it's going to be on top of the Gunsmith shop. If you're playing on Origins, it's going to be in the excavation site, almost at the very bottom near the Stabs. In Shadows of Evil, it's going to be on your way down to the subway area, and also on the Giant, it can randomly spawn in one of the numerous locations. In Dreisendrach, it's going to be in between Spawn and the Oval Room. In Zetsubanashima, it's going to be in the underwater tunnels. If you're playing in Gorod Krovi, it's going to be in the bunker. If you're playing in Revelations, the location's going to be in the cafeteria of Mob of the Dead. And you can also get it from Wonder Jizz on basically every single map. Now, like I said, in Black Ops 1, when this thing first came out, it was a game changer, but not really for high round players because Black Ops 1 weapons don't do shit on high rounds, and really the only thing that's going to work is the Wonder Weapon. Black Ops 2, I could kind of see the case because a lot of weapons tended to do a lot more, but in Black Ops 3, that's where Mule Kick really shines because a lot of weapons in Black Ops 3 can do a lot of stuff, and also you can get double pack-a-punch abilities on basically everything. So Mule Kick was a much more sought after perk in Black Ops 3 than it ever was before. And it'll also be interesting to see if this perk is going to make its way into the other storyline in 9 and Voyage. I'm more than positive you're probably going to see this perk return in that storyline in some way, shape, or form. Alright, now we're heading into Black Ops 2 and some of the perks that game brought with it. One of the first ones it actually introduced is going to be Tombstone Soda. Now this perk may not be the greatest perk of all time, but it definitely has one of the catchiest jingles, I will give it that. Now, unfortunately, this perk is not available in solo. It will only spawn in if you are playing with some friends, so people like me, who don't have friends, can basically go fuck themselves. This thing is going to cost 2,000 points, and basically what this thing is going to do is allow you to kill yourself if you go down, and then when you come back in, you can basically recover all your equipment and all your perks, and basically people would use this to actually get another free perk. Because before they would recover their equipment, they would go buy another perk, and then recover their equipment and perks, and basically be able to keep an extra perk. But basically, in order to actually get your equipment back, once you spawn back in, a tombstone is going to appear where you went down, and you have 90 seconds to actually collect it. So you don't have all the time in the world to be running around the map and grabbing everything you want. You only have 90 seconds. Now sadly, or gratefully, however you want to look at it, this thing was only available in transit. It's going to be in the power plant, or if you're playing on town, it's going to be in the alley leading to Double Tap 2.0. And you can also get it as a perma perk on Buried, but we're not talking about perma perks. Now to me, I never used Tombstone because I never really played with friends. I'm a solo player, so I just never ever used this thing. But occasionally when I did play with my acquaintances, they would always do this little stupid thing to get an extra perk. And what I like to do is throw an EMP at the perk machine before they buy it to basically make what they just did completely useless. And it's pretty funny seeing your friends rage at that. I would definitely recommend you do it. Next up in the Black Ops 2 saga is going to be Who's Who, another perk with a very catchy jingle. They were on a roll with Black Ops 2 jingles, man. And unfortunately, this is only on Die Rise. Hey, guess where it's at? It's in those fucking elevators. Now the good part about this perk is it's only going to cost you 2,000 points, and it's actually pretty useful. What's going to happen is when you go down, a clone of you is going to come out. You're not going to have anything but a pistol, and you can do a couple of different things. If you're playing on solo and you have quick revive, all you have to do is just wait for your revive to actually kick in. But if you're playing with friends, if you go down, you can either try to revive yourself back again, or you can just run around until your friends actually revive you. But if you actually let yourself die, you're going to be stuck with your clone, and you're only going to have your M1911, so you have to somehow survive with that. So Who's Who is kind of like a different take on Quick Revive, and I think if it was in more maps, I can definitely see some solid strategies being used with it, but it's only on Die Rise, and you really only get to experience it in one map, and that's on fucking Die Rise, and I fucking hate that map. But I think it would have been pretty interesting to see this on some other maps and see exactly how it plays out in other maps, because I would definitely love to see someone go into a boss fight with Who's Who with their friends and see exactly how everything plays out with Gobblegums. That would be a pretty interesting sight, and that would make the boss fights a little bit different and probably way more fun. But unfortunately, it's only in Die Rise, and I doubt we'll ever see Who's Who return, sadly. Next up in the Black Ops 2 roster is going to be Electric Cherry. Now this perk is basically a steal. It's only going to cost you 2,000 points and it's really fucking good. Basically what Electric Cherry is going to do is whenever you reload, a little electrical burst is going to shoot out and stun the zombies. Now the lower your ammo actually is, the stronger the burst. So if you reload on an empty magazine, the electrical burst is going to be at its strongest, but if you shoot one bullet and then you reload, it's going to be at its weakest. Now this electrical burst can stun and kill the zombies. It also has a secondary effect. Whenever you go down, a little electrical burst is going to shoot out and basically kill zombies, similar to as if you reloaded, but this little burst is going to be a lot stronger. And this perk, in my opinion, is definitely a must-have. It is very, very good, especially for only costing you 2,000 points. Like, some of the best perks are only going to cost you 2,000 points. Like, I don't understand how Treyarch decides how much points these things are, but this one is definitely way, way worth it. Now, Electric Cherry was first introduced in Mob of the Dead, and it's actually going to be on the top floor next to the gondola. And you can also get it in Origins, the Horizon Track, Go Rod, and Revelations. Sadly, you can only get it through Wonder Jizz, but have no fear, in Zetsubo no Shima, you can get it through the fruit. Or you could just use Gobblegums like everybody else does, either one. Now, Electric Cherry is one of those perks that I desperately want to return in Black Ops 4. You get this, Jug, Speed Cola, and Widow's Wine. That is an overpowered combination, and you're probably not going to die anytime soon. That's like the keep you safe combination right there. You ain't going down if you get that quadfecta right there. So I really do hope this thing returns. I hope they don't change anything to it because I love it exactly how it is. Alright, the last perk introduced with Black Ops 2, and Treyarch kind of does this really funny thing to where they're going to introduce a perk on a map and then never show it to you again. It's really cute and really funny how Treyarch does that, because that's exactly what they did with Vulture. And honestly, it's kind of a smart idea that they did that, because in the right hands with a certain wonder weapon, this thing can be overpowered as shit. You think the Paralyzer in Vulture is overpowered? Imagine the Apothecon Servant or something like that. That is a way more OP combination than that and the Paralyzer. But the Vulture is sadly only available on Buried, and it's going to cost you 3,000 points, and it's going to do a couple things. You're going to be able to see perks, wall weapons, a Peck-a-Punch, chalk outlines, and the mystery box through walls, so that way you will know where all this stuff actually is. Zombies will occasionally drop small packets of ammo and points. Zombies will also create a little green gas when they die, not every single one, but certain ones. And if you get inside that gas, the zombies will ignore you. And also the last thing it does, a nice little cherry on top, it will make the zombies' eyes glow a little bit brighter, making them a little bit more easy to see. Now I completely forgot to tell you guys where this thing is. It's actually going to be in the back of the church in Buried, and I want this thing to return. Like, I've played mods with this thing, and it's just so much fun being able to sit there, shoot the thunder gun, round up some more ammo, and then shoot the thunder gun again. Like, you guys don't know how much fun that actually is. So I would love to see this thing with some new wonder weapons. I wouldn't even be mad if they made it cost like 10,000 points. I honestly wouldn't even be mad. They can make this thing cost like 20,000. It's totally worth it. This thing, in the right wonder weapons hands, can be the most overpowered combination in all of Call of Duty Zombies history, and that would be pretty fun, and that's mainly the reason why I want it to return. Alright, so now let's head into the Black Ops 3 perks, and I should probably say perk because there was only one introduced. Treyarch had this really weird thing where in Black Ops 3 they only introduced one new perk, but they gave us a shit ton of gobblegums, so that way people would spend more money on Liquid Divinium to try to get them. But even though they only introduced one perk in Black Ops 3, it was still one of the best, and that's going to be Widow's Wine. It was first introduced in Shadows of Evil, and it's going to cost you a hefty 4,000 points, but in my opinion, it's totally worth it. Widow's Wine is going to have a couple effects, and honestly, they're all pretty badass. The main effect that it has is it's going to switch your grenades to like these kind of spiderweb Simtex grenades, and you can do a couple different things. One, you can either throw them and they'll detonate and basically entrap all the zombies around it in these spiderwebs, slowing them down. Or two, you can wait for the zombies to hit you, and every time a zombie hits you, you lose a grenade, but a little explosion goes around you, capturing all those zombies in that radius with the spider web, slowing them down so that way they can no longer hit you. And also it's going to change your default knife to have a green trail behind it. It's going to be a little bit stronger, and also you have the random chance to actually trap the zombies in the spider web without using a grenade. And lastly, if you do happen to actually kill one of those zombies that are trapped in the spider web, it can drop a spider drop, and with every drop you actually get, it's going to replenish one of your grenades, so that is actually one of the ways you can actually get more, or you can wait for the next round, or you can also just grab a max ammo, whatever you want to do. But for me, Widow's Wine is definitely my all-time favorite perk. This thing has saved me so many times, because half the time when I'm streaming or something like that, I'm not fucking paying attention to what I'm doing, and Widow's Wine will come into the rescue for me 10 times out of 10. If I'm about ready to get cornered, this thing just goes off until I can figure out a way to get out of that situation. I love this perk. It is one of the best perks in my opinion, and definitely a must-have if you're going to high rounds or you're trying to do an Easter egg. It's amazing, especially combined with like Electric Cherry. That is an unstoppable force right there. But like I said, Widow's Wine was first introduced in Shadows of Evil. You can also get it in Drak and on Go Rod Kroby through the Wonder Jizz. If you're playing in Zetsubo no Shima, you can actually get it as a free perk if you defeat the Giant Spider. And thank God in Revelations they were nice enough to put the actual machine in the Kino der Toten room where the Pack-a-Punch would be. And every night, I pray to Lord Vonderhaar's shiny bald head that they bring this back for Black Ops 4 because I'm going to be upset. This thing is not only a badass perk, the emblem looks cool, the perk machine looks cool, I love the effects, everything about this thing is amazing, and I really do hope this thing is brought back for Black Ops 4. This is my #1 thing that I want brought back. Fuck all the other perks, they could drop Jug for all I care. I want this thing back because I love it and it's definitely my all-time favorite perk. So with saying all that, that should be every single perk in Treyarch Zombies, everything from World War II Black Ops 3. Hopefully I didn't forget anything, or hopefully I didn't forget like a trait about a perk, but it's pretty reassuring knowing that even if I did, I got you guys in the comments reminding me in the sweetest way possible without throwing any insults or any negativity my way. That's just because you guys are so sweet and I love you guys. And I'm totally not being sarcastic whatsoever when I say that. So with saying all that though, that is where we are going to end today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you guys have yet to like and subscribe, make sure you do that and also hit the bell notification because once Black Ops 4 releases, you're probably going to want to know when my bald ass uploads, so that's the best way to know. And also, I would like to say shout out to my Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome, and I fucking love you. You guys are the highlights of my day. Thank you guys so much for being a Patreon supporter. I really do appreciate it. And also, if you would like to be a Patreon supporter, go and check out that link right down there below. It'll take you straight to it. And also check out all the other links. Check out Into the AM, my sponsor. Use code RABBIT for 10% off. Check out my Twitter, my Instagram, my Twitch, my Discord, and any other stupid link I have right down there below. So hopefully you guys have a fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.